Welcome. My name's Martin Gainsborough. I'm the chaplain to the Bishop of Bristol. Cheers. Some years ago we took our camper van on the long ferry down to northern Spain, and we went walking in the Picos mountains. We were going to take the cable car up to the top of the mountain and then have a walk from there, but the cable car was fully booked up, so we decided to walk, and it was a long vertical climb for at least an hour and a half on a rocky path, before finally we emerged into a hanging valley above the cloud line and in the sun, and it was really very beautiful. At the end of the day, back down in civilization, we were looking for somewhere to go and eat, and we found a little restaurant and were led up to a room upstairs. I remember nothing about the food at all, but what I do remember is the wine. I'm certainly not any expert on wine, but since that day I've been on the lookout for a perfect Rioja. I don't know what it was about that occasion, but it was the loveliest wine I'd ever tasted. I wonder how you are feeling at this time and what in particular you are missing. I'm conscious that our experience of these days of lockdown are also very different. Some of us are feeling very contented with the new rhythm. Others of us are feeling anxious and worried or hemmed in. Still others are working at the front line of the National Health Service and facing some very difficult situations. For others of us, that's far away. And amongst churchgoers, some people are feeling bereft as they can't go to church. Others are adapting to online church. Some people are feeling acutely missing being able to celebrate the Eucharist. For others, that's less important. I've been reading a new book by Rowan Williams, The Way of St. Benedict, and there's a lovely line in there that I'd like to share with you. He writes, "If we are divided, if we live in a sort of imposed solitude and separation from each other, we must ask what gifts God has allowed us to develop in that solitude, so that we may learn to give them afresh to each other." What's fascinating about those words is they weren't written at all for our era, but they speak very powerfully to them. If we live in a sort of imposed solitude and separation from each other, we must ask what gifts God has allowed us to develop in that solitude, so that we may learn to give them afresh to each other. I think that is the challenge for all of us at this time, to ask what gifts God is developing in us through this solitude. What is God teaching us that we may learn afresh and give to others? A reading from Matthew's Gospel for Palm Sunday that has spoken powerfully to me at this time. While they were eating, Jesus took a loaf of bread, and after blessing it, he broke it, gave it to his disciples and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." Then he took a cup, and after giving thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you, for this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will never again drink of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." So my best wishes and prayers to you as we enter into Holy Week. Let us pray. Lord, in these days of mercy, make us quiet and prayerful. In these days of challenge, make us stronger in you. In these days of emptiness, take possession of us. In these days of waiting, open our hearts to the mystery of your cross. I wish you all the very best.